Well, maybe we can grab the piano mic. I don't know how hot it is. I mean, when we do the chant, I want to leave it. He needs it for the piano, but there's no piano in it. Is there?
No. And the one I usually use is, I don't know where it is. It's not,
Okay. Well, let's just do that.
I'll just have to volunteer for some. We don't use it.
I don't see it.
Oh, it's not setting yet.
Well, no. Dave said no.
Good evening. Welcome to the shared service of Loss and Light, joining in fellowship the congregations of the First Presbyterian Church and the Olympia Brown Unitarian Universalist Church. Welcome. It is good to be in this sacred space together. We are here on this cold, wintry night, in the midst of the busy holiday season, in a time filled and overflowing with gatherings and preparations and guests and concerts, and yet, something in our hearts ache. It may be just a small feeling of compression, a little tug, an almost imperceptible but continuous hum. Or maybe our hearts feel wide open and raw with a recent loss. Tonight we come together for a moment of stillness, of reflection, of consolation and comfort. We open with the words of Reverend Scott Taylor. Tonight we return to the shelter of each other, to arms that hold us in the midst of the storm, to voices that help us hear our own, to hearts that accept us for who we are. May we be for each other a source of safety and sending. May we offer each other both comfort and challenge. May this place of peace lead us to share peace with others. Let us begin.
I'm going to light a few different things here. Any of you here were last year know that it took me a while before I messed up on the lighting of a candle, but I'm going to get it out of the way right at the beginning. Those of you who are here from Olympia Brown are familiar with the chalice lighting. The chalice is a symbol of the community drawn together by the flame here, but also speaks of the flame inside of each one of us. The flame that burns in the midst of sorrow, the flame that burns in the midst of joy, the flame that we all need to keep each other warm, to keep each other safe, to draw one another together again. Just as the fire drew together us humans from the very, very beginning of our time together, when we face difficulties, when we struggle together, we gather around the flame. We gather around each other. And we know that this is holy ground. We will begin our time together as well by singing hymn 123, Spirit of Life, in the gray hymnals. Hopefully you...
This year is coming to a close. This year has been a particularly challenging year. For many of us, grief has visited far too often. For some of us, the sorrow has been persistent and unrelenting. We have suffered, we have mourned. Our hearts are heavy with the pain of estrangement, keeping a reluctant distance from those we love, with fear and uncertainty for the future of our country, with the loss of beloved places held dear in our hearts. And for all the friends and family and loved ones we have lost this past year, for some of us, multiple losses in this one single year. It seems grief has been our steady companion, never far behind, and yet there too, beckoning us from up ahead. So let us start off with a blessing for this grief we carry, this grief that ebbs and flows and explodes and hums quietly, steadily in the background. Let us begin with a blessing for grief. May you be tender with yourself and be cared for by those who will envelop you with compassion and presence. May you know that there is so much beauty in your grief, especially when it feels messy. May you know that the depth of your grief is but a measure of the love your heart is capable of. May you cry an ocean of tears and never fear the tides of your grief. May you scream and rage and emote your pain in safe and supported places. And may you never be judged for the power of your expression. May you be comforted by a blanket woven of love when you feel the harsh and palpable illusion of aloneness. May you remember in moments of despair that all life comes from the womb of sacred darkness, and that something new will be born from this void. May you allow yourself to change. May the pain of your loss awaken you to the pulse of your humanity. May you have faith in the crucible of your soul to transform this grief into a numinous song that brings you closer to your own divinity. May your experience of loss expand your capacity to extend compassion to others. May you eventually wear your scars as luminous gems on the unfurled wings of your heart. And may you always remember the preciousness of life. We light this candle for the grief in our hearts, for the grief in one another's eyes, for the blessing of compassion, presence, and love.
is good that we gather here in this place to allow ourselves permission to grieve. Because, as Oscar Wilde said, where there is sorrow, there is holy ground. It is our grief that lets us know that we have dared to love. We have allowed something, someone, some place to enter the deepest part of our heart. And sometimes we are left with sorrow, but it is always accompanied with the love that brought that sorrow on. I want to read a poem. It's called For Those Who Have Died by Ella Escara. "'Tis a fearful thing to love what death can touch. To love, to hope, to dream, and oh, to lose. A thing for fools, this love, but a holy thing. To love what death can touch. For your life has lived in me. Your laugh once lifted me. Your word was a gift to me. To remember this brings painful joy. 'Tis a human thing, love, a holy thing to love what death can touch." We will sing a song together or hear a song and be invited to sing along, which asks us to listen and to hear what is down in our heart. And we light this second candle to say that even though sorrow can seem to envelop us in darkness, the love that is underneath it, we're not afraid to show. We're not afraid to grieve because it comes from a place of love. We light this candle because we are not ashamed of our grief. We're not ashamed of missing what we've lost. And we listen deep in our heart for what sorrow might teach us, for what divinity might be there in the midst of our sorrow, holding us.
Let me hear what you will speak when I turn to you in my heart. Let me hear what you will speak when I turn to you in my heart. Let me hear what you will speak when I turn to you in my heart. Let me hear what you will speak when I turn to you in my heart. Let me hear what you will speak when I turn to you in my heart. Let me hear what you will speak when I turn to you in my heart. Let me hear what you will speak when I turn to you in my heart. Let me hear what you will speak when I turn to you in my heart. Let me hear what you will speak when I turn to you in my heart.
We are filled with the beauty of the flickering, dancing flames before us. These candles are symbolic of hope and faith as light pierces the darkness. The ritual of lighting a candle in prayer and intention brings us comfort and healing. In a moment, all will be invited forward to light a candle in honor of loved ones, in honor of the grief you carry, to add to the light and the promise of the love that surrounds you. We center ourselves with a poem. We trust that beyond the absence, there is a presence. That beyond the pain, there can be healing. That beyond the brokenness, there can be wholeness. That beyond the hurting, there may be forgiveness. That beyond the silence, there may be the word. That beyond the word, there may be understanding. That through all understanding, there is love. We light these candles for our families, our beloved ones, and our friends. For those who are near and for those from whom we feel an unwanted distance. For those whose lives are vulnerable. For our own vulnerable hearts. For all those we have lost, known and unknown. For the suffering we have experienced. For our planet torn by pain. Let us light these candles in hope and healing. You are invited to come forward now to light a candle. If tears could build a stairway and memories a lane, I'd walk right up to heaven and bring you home again.
Don't stand in the grave and weep. I am not there, I do not sleep. I'm a thousand winds that blow. I'm the diamond glints on snow. I'm a silent grave. I'm the gentle water's rain.
If tears could build a stairway and memories a lane, I'd walk right up to heaven and bring you home again.
When you waken in morning sun, I'm a swift uplifting rod. Quiet birds in circled flight, like stars that shine at night. Don't stand at my grave and weep. I am not there, I do not sleep.
If tears could build a stairway and memories a lane, I'd walk right up to heaven and bring you home again.
Ask that you join me in a time of prayer. Let us acknowledge the love that is in the room. We each have our own memories. The person who we wish we could build a stairway to hold again, to hear again, to find again. We each have empty places inside of us. People we miss, aspirations unfulfilled, hopes didn't materialize, relationships broken. Beliefs, desires just didn't work out. There are places in each of us that may hold sorrows even deeper. But there is something to be said about us gathering here, lighting our candles, desire in each of our hearts that the sorrows in this room might turn to something brighter, that the winter outside might lead to spring, that the winter inside might lead to spring for each and every one of us. In my tradition, we have a Christ that suffers, that enters into the deepest of the pain of this world, to say that this is what is being truly human and truly divine. To not flee from what might cause pain, because it is love that takes us there. So take a moment. Allow yourself to feel the loss that you feel. To grieve the thing that you love, the person that you love, that's been taken from you. It's who we are. It's how we were made. The sorrow that lies heavy on our heart means that our hearts have not turned to stone. We can still feel. We can find compassion. It makes us the people that this world needs. Those with the courage to love. To lift a candle in the midst of darkness. not be afraid. Even though it hurts. We call upon the Spirit moving among us to help us find healing. As we sing together hymn 795 in the maroonish, reddish hymnal. We light this final candle as a reminder. The spirit of compassion is in each one of us. The sorrow that we feel, the loss that we feel, does remind us that we are people of compassion. We are people of love. We are people who know how to bring healing, how to bring hope. This light, this candle, let it keep your heart soft. Let it keep your heart open. Let grief and sorrow be your guide. Because that compassion will lead you into healing, not only for yourself, but for those around you.
We end this sacred time together with a reminder, a promise, with these words of comfort. But always the love remains. When words have been harsh, the love remains. When tears run out, the love remains. When a hole replaces the heart, the love remains. Even when all has been lost and all hope is gone, still the love remains. We extinguish this chalice, but the light goes on in you. That flame of love, of gentle compassion, of forgiveness lives in each one of us, reminding us that we are connected, held always in a larger love. Amen, and blessed be.
Hear this benediction, this blessing from John O'Donohue. When the light around you lessens and your thoughts darken until your body feels fear turn cold as stone inside, when you find yourself bereft of any belief in yourself and all unknowingly leaned on has fallen, when one voice commands your whole heart and it is raven black, know that you are not alone and that this darkness has a purpose. Gradually it will school your eyes to find the one gift your life requires, hidden within this night corner. Invoke the learning of every suffering you have suffered. Close your eyes. Gather all the kindling about your heart to create one spark that is all you need to nourish the flame that will cleanse the dark of its weight of festered fear. A new confidence will come alive to urge you toward higher ground, where your imagination will learn to engage difficulty in its most rewarding threshold.